Hey and welcome to Neverwinter with Aragon. So we finally have the new lockbox, the stealth lockbox. You can simply purchase it from the Wondrous Bazaar here for just on a discount, 150 per box. Or you can of course go and farm some mobs and get them to drop all over the place. But it'll take some time and the market price will plummet down and down. And if you got those enchanted keys saved up from VIP, then I guess you may as well spend some on this box. But we shall see if any of these rewards are actually worth picking up. You can see we're going to be able to obtain this mythic Rimefire Salamander, the legendary version, and this new Shadow Elemental account-wide companion. Again, we'll have to see if it's going to be of any use. We can see as its main offensive power for the player, it'll have that 10% chance on a hit to deal an additional 45 magnitude damage. And its powers, we can see, seem to have a buff capability there of increasing your critical avoidance and movement speed, and otherwise just having a shadowy assassination and a stab ability. Again, let's go and open a whole bunch of these lockboxes and see what kind of drop rates we are getting for this new lockbox. There, we already obtained the legendary version, so that's pretty neat just there. Just looking like this. I guess not as flashy as perhaps the mythic, but again, we shall see there. We get that to drop, which we should go and do so within 400 keys. Again, this lockbox is nothing really new compared to the older ones. And there we got the drop on that new companion, the Shadow Elemental, which just looks like there, some dark shadow with two purple eyes. We'll get this tested out near the end of the video, see what type of damage it can deal, and we'll showcase these mounts and their combat powers as well, and give my thoughts and opinions on how effective they are and whether or not you should bother with this lockbox. In my opinion, generally, you should just open lockboxes for the trade bars. Otherwise, if you don't have a mount in a particular lockbox, go for it. We just obtained the mythic salamander and we can go and inspect that one, and it's going to look like this. A little bit upgraded than the legendary with its glowing mouth ability there, and that's what we have after opening 83 of these lockboxes. We've got all of the top tier rewards there, so that's pretty neat. A bunch of trade bars. Again, they drop very regularly there, at least on average 50 per lockbox, 25 being the lowest amount you'll get and 1,000 being the maximum. Trade bars you'll spend in that trade bar store for all sorts of different rewards and can be very valuable. If you don't know what to spend them on, save them and make sure you save them for a discount, and then you can get a big boost there in your character progression. We got some insignia powder there, 235, nothing much really, and otherwise this was all of our rewards. As you can see, a bunch of vouchers, enchantments, just rank 9s there, some cubes, insignia powder, scrolls of life. Also pretty neat, we got 100 reward reroll tokens, some of those packs, insignias, and you're mainly just going to get Alexandrites as your primary refinement points there. So let's go and check out these mounts. We can go and freely equip them here just on this character, and any character you go and equip them on, because they're account wide, you'll be able to claim them on any of your other characters. And let's just automatically rename that, switch my character. We can jump to the claims valuable section here, promo, and pick up that Rimefire Salamander, the Frost Salamander, and also way down the bottom there we get our Shadow Elemental. Again, let's go and equip these on this character, and we can get this Shadow Elemental just upgraded there all the way to mythic, so when we test him out we can make sure we're getting those maximum damage output. And again, you can see there it has those different cosmetics there, the skins for it, but again, I guess just the area of his darkness surrounding him just changes, and we can get him summoned up and he looks like this, nothing too special. And as for our mount, we have the Frost Salamander here, Cloud of Frost, and we can jump around on him. He's got 6 of those legs, so might be a little bit odd, and his space bar when you're just standing still makes him do as such. He just looks around. And his combat power, Frozen Retribution, we can check out on the dummy here. you're just going to cast that, and then there you go. And we already get the Shadow Elemental attacking there. Again, this frozen retribution won't actually do any damage. It'll just give you those certain buffs, and that's it. As for the mythic version, we have the Rimefire Retribution. And as their equip power, they're just going to go and give us that ruthless efficiency with that maximum 4,500 critical strike when you have 100% mount bolster. Let's check out the look of the Rimefire Salamander. It's going to look a little bit different, still all frosty, just you'll have that glowing blue effect again with it. My opinion, not too bad. You could definitely get some fashion from Storm King's Thunder or Icewind Dale to go along with it. You have that skull there on the back with the horns. Not sure exactly what creature that is, perhaps a Yeti. And again, the combat power from the mythic version is just going to be summoning that wall of ice. Really nothing special there. So let's get this Shadow Elemental tested out. We can summon him here again, and then let's go and target the dummy, and we can see he can do a pretty big hit there, over 120,000. That's pretty neat. And otherwise, he just seems to be using those abilities. We can see his big hit a power was his Shadow Elemental basic hit, and the rest of his are the stabs. As for what abilities he's using, well, it seems to just be the Shadowy Assassination, where he'll do a powerful melee attack, and then he just has the stab. As for how often he does that lunge ability, it could well be just at the beginning of the fight, and that's it. No, there we got it again. We can have a look in this combat tracker. We can see his maximum hit so far was 128,000. That's pretty good. His DPS nearly at 20,000 there, just right. However, we do need to make sure we have the stats up to par so we can compare it against those other companions. And so there we have the average damage within 3 minutes of what he's dealing. It was there just over 15,000 encounter DPS, damage per second. Maximum hit was just about 130,000. And as for comparing him against the others, we can see he's nothing special compared to the top, at only just over half the amount of damage that, say, the Pseudo Dragon or the Honey Badger can output. Again, be aware the Honey Badger can only do that much if he has full hit points. When he goes below 80% hit points, his damage gets halved. Now, one last thing would be this Shadow Elemental's ability here, the Shadow Force. Will basically have on an attack a 10% chance to deal that extra damage. So what I'll do is I'll just go and hit this dummy, and for a minute we'll see how many times this actually procs. We can see on Mythic it does have that 112 magnitude, so it could rack up to something if the chance is somewhat decent. We check the combat log, and this is my damage, and you can see the Shadow Force. Again, it's only hit twice, and now we've had 40-50 seconds, and you can see those hits that it does do. One of them dealt no damage. The second one there had a base damage of 7,000, and otherwise it was only dealing about 3,500 damage. Again, it hit there, and it seems to proc twice, once doing no damage and the second time actually dealing damage. Not sure why, but again, it doesn't seem to be able to deal any flank damage, meaning it can't benefit from your combat advantage stat. There's probably a whole other things that don't work with it either, and you can see when the dummy doesn't dodge, it can deal up to that 4,667, but it not being able to deal a lot of damage compared to my at will, it's just abysmal. You can see there my Valorous Strike, which is just a very small hitting at will, it was 91% of my damage. Then it's the Vorpal, and then the Shadow Force is only 1%. So the hit rate on this thing is useless. You can see Valorous Strike here, 60 magnitude. It should be dealing a lot more damage on a hit. That thing, it has 112 magnitude. You can see my Valorous Strike is maximum hit 12,000. This maximum hit on Shadow Force should be higher than that, much higher than that. So overall, unfortunately, not a lockbox I can recommend outside of just picking up the Mythic and Legendary mount for their combat powers. Otherwise, of course, there's the visuals. The companion is pretty useless. Again, hopefully this has been somewhat insightful and helpful to you guys. Again, I do not recommend buying keys on the Zen market. You may as well just use the ones you have for VIP open the lockbox and potentially obtain a new mount for some new bolster. So finally, I'd like to give a massive thank you to all of my channel members for helping me keep my channel going. And if I presented this well, consider leaving the video a like. If you're new around here, consider subscribing. We'll see you guys around. Goodbye for now.